Welcome to Beerfield, where the episode titles are a lot harder to write now that we don't actually have topics for the episodes. I am at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's, Chris Hopper, as always, joined by at Beerfield 30 with 2 E's, and at Ryan Miner _ FFB, who either we forced ourselves on him or he forced ourselves on us. Either way,
Whoa.
The third leg.
We're here.
No one forced themselves on anybody. We here at Beerfield Fantasy Football do not endorse forcing yourself onto anybody. It's been a long time since we've done that. Yeah, it's been a long time since we have to add a PSA to it.
Normally, it's you doing the shit. We have to add a PSA to the show for.
It's normally my joke or my comments.
I'm like the guy that shows up, but like you invited over that one time, but just won't leave because he can come over every time.
You start to move the party away, and he just keeps showing up. You're like, who keeps inviting him? And it's that he just stalks your Facebook page.
Yeah, follows your cars.
Like he knows the entire town by heart, so he knows exactly where like every street lamp is.
Like, I thought we weren't doing it Wednesday, so I came over Thursday just to make sure.
I know you guys said the party was on Saturday, but I was like, maybe they really meant Friday.
I got my days mixed up. It's the weirdest thing, but how lucky that you guys changed it, and I guess just forgot to tell me.
Super happy you made it here.
Yeah, it's super. It's like Kenny Pickett in the Steelers quarterback room.
Super glad you're here, bro.
Yeah.
I'm recovering after the past couple of days of Cedar Point after walking around for 12 hours straight. My one foot is killing me right now. So
that does happen. We went tubing over the weekend, and I got too excited Friday, and went super hard. So when we actually went, tubing down the river down in Missouri, it was like the worst fucking thing ever. I was dying.
It was hot.
Man. It was hot, and I was super hungover. Like, I blacked out. We'll just say it.
I was outside from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. in that 100-degree weather with no air conditioning and no shade.
Oof.
And
that's what it felt like.
Moving tables around and shit. And by the time I got home, I was straight to a cold bath, straight to liquid IV. Took me about an hour to make myself feel human again. I mean, talk about being in bad shape. So hydrate when you're out there. Drink water. Liquid IV is a lifesaver. If you haven't heard of it, go to Walgreens and get some. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank God, rivers are typically cold. So the first thing we do as soon as we get there, I'm like laying in the water like I'm a dead person. It feels so good. Then eventually I would just start, dunking my shirt and just putting it over my head because, again,
drinking?
Life sucked. What's that?
You don't start drinking? Just try to see if you can mellow it out a little bit?
I drink like 15 bottles of water. Dude, there's no fucking way I was drinking.
No beer?
No way.
Beer, yeah.
It was way too hot to drink down here.
Too fucking hot.
I was at a booze festival, and I drank a couple seltzers. It's at a bourbon festival. I'm drinking seltzers. That's how hot it was.
Oh, man.
By the way, Bomb Pop from Forehand's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's a good transition. But before I transition, the FF Face-Off are Mama and Papa. I don't know if Anthony or Aaron's Mama. I don't know who's Mama, who's Papa. But, yeah, they got a pot-a-thon for mental health going on here in a couple weeks. Believe it's July 16th, 17th. So, first weekend of most of the Scott Fishbowl live drafts. So, make sure you tune into that, fffaceoff.com for all the details. Ryan got an article out there that's catching a little bit of heat, comparing the rookie wide receiver class to the sophomore wide receiver class. Saw that pop up several times as I was scrolling around to prep for the show, so that looks like it's got some traction. You can find that there.
And I also did my 105 of Scott Fishbowl mock to kind of help people out.
Hey, I got the 105 too.
Did you?
You should go read this article.
We did our 100-yard dashes to decide who gets to pick their picks, and I picked the 105.
Nice.
I was like, oh yeah, Ryan has it. I forgot.
Like legit, you went to a track and timed yourself, or just
I got
ones?
I actually got in the 6th place. Very happy. I mean, I slightly died afterwards. I'm actually in heaven right now. Well, I mean, This is probably hell, but
I'm here.
So
So clearly there's angels around.
I'm in purgatory. I'm just waiting.
I can't run anymore like I used to. It hurts too much now.
I can. I just regret it later. Immediately later.
Immediately.
What's fueling Beer Fueled?
Guess before we do this, I should tell people what we're talking about. We got a couple news items. We're going to take some questions that are not directly to us, but we're going to pretend like they're to us from the internet, kind of like that guy showing up at a party. And then threw together some either or off of ADPs. So just some real quick hitters. We'll do some either or for a redraft. And maybe Dynasty too. And just see where it's at. See where we're at with it. Who wants to start? I don't really care. I don't want to call on anybody.
I'll start. All right, I'm drinking Blind Pig's Reserve Lager.
Ooh.
This was actually given to me by the rep when we were doing an event, so obviously not in its actual detailed can here, but I'm battling some sort of sickness, so I was gonna go with the basil hidden toasted barrel, but I really want to be of right space, before I actually jump into it. So I figured a light lager will suffice tonight.
I got Bell's official Hazy IPA tonight.
There you go.
Coming at 6.4%, so something very refreshing right now. Something mellowed down in.
There you go.
Nice. All right, I need to buy beer. I've got Hand of Fate's Wildberry Dream Ale. Hand of Fate
That's
is
new.
What?
Most it's new. I haven't heard about that one.
Oh yeah. Well, spoilers. They poured more fruit into their cream ale. Shocking.
I mean, that's just
shocking,
what they
I
do.
know. A little. Yeah.
Thanks to me at Benny's buying up all the cream ale, I'm making Mike actually have to keep making it.
That is what they do. Yes. So, yep, Wildberry Dream Ale from Hand of Fate. Hand of Fate's out of Petersburg, Illinois, my hometown. Don't mean to throw shade with the cream ale comments. Just like every time I see something new from them that makes it down to the Metro East, it's literally just a version of the cream ale that they threw a different fruit into, which, efficient way to do it, you get burnt out on it after a little bit, though.
I mean, one of their brewmasters, I won't say he quit because of it, but the amount that we were ordering at Benny's, this is obviously well before I joined Distill, it was a nightmare. Like, I still joke about it with Mike, the brewmaster, their owner.
For them,
Every time I see it, I'm like, you're so mad at me for making you make double bean like 95% of the time.
Well, double bean's delicious.
We're okay.
Double bean's delicious. It's just, yeah, anyway. I think I talked about it with somebody else, too. Somebody else's beers a while ago. I was just like, I like variety. And since it's only a 12-ounce can, I'll probably finish it and start drinking on my own Smash IPA that'll be entered into the STL Brewhog Smash competition here coming up.
Smash IPA. Is there a specific reason it's called Smash, or is it just because of the competition?
Single malt, single hop recipe. So Smash is a single malt and single hop beer. So
that's right. I knew that.
2-row that I roasted some, and then I homemade some Crystal 40 out of the 2-row because that's allowed because it is a Smash only competition. So if you want any specialty grains, you got to make them yourself from whatever grain you're using. So I made some Crystal 40 out of that, and then Belma hops, which in Sundew yeast, which has a lot of strawberry to both things.
Ooh, fun.
So, yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and get into some news. We'll start off with more so some player speak, not coach speak, but I'm interested in some thoughts here because this is a guy that I maybe am not the highest on, so I kind of wanted to deep dive this a little bit. But when asked what he needs to have a better season, Miles Sanders said he just needs more opportunities. So with Jalen Hurts there, Miles Sanders' health as well, kind of a little bit of an afterthought in the rushing game. Didn't really and hasn't really panned out to what a lot of people thought he was going to be. So is it just more opportunity that Miles Sanders needs, and do we see him getting more opportunity?
I mean, it's tough because, that was the criticism all last year was that he just wasn't getting involved enough. And from the injuries and from Gainwell being his primary backup to when Sanders would get hurt and you would see a shift to Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. It's like the Eagles don't really want to commit to one person. And of course, Sanders is going to want to have more work. He's like any other player, especially running backs. They want to be, they want to be fed more. They want to be the biggest reason why that their offense is doing what their offense is doing. So I'm assuming this is drawn from the interview he had with Sports Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of talk on that, and it just speaks more volumes to wanting to avoid this. Like, he's going to have touchdown regression in the positive way. He obviously didn't score any touchdowns last year, but when you have a mobile quarterback the size of Jalen Hurts, you can't expect a high touchdown rate from him because Hurts is going to take some of that volume in the red zone.
Yeah, but I want to look at it too. Like, he is right. Like, the opportunities weren't there that he was hoping for. Like, he started the season with 15 carries and then 13 carries, and then following after that, he went to 2 carries and 7 carries. So, like, it wasn't like a consistent amount of carries, but when he had the carries, he actually performed. So, like, when he was getting 15 carries, he actually put up 74 yards.
When he got the touches, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and it was over 100 scrimmage yards when that happened too. Because I mean, the receiving game is real for the most part as well. 24 carries, 120 yards. 18 carries, 131 yards.
Exactly. So
I think what's more concerning is that, like, if you look at the routes run, weeks 1 through 6 before he got hurt, he had double-digit routes run, 2 games over 20, 1 game at 30. When he came back and through the rest of the season, including the playoffs,
Single digits.
It's. I'm not saying Gainwell is going to see more.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that Gainwell or is that something else?
I think Gainwell should definitely get a bump, and I think Gainwell is definitely a part of the conversation in redraft leagues and the double-digit rounds. But he's just someone more to watch this because we don't really know what or how the touches are going to shake out. And he's still with the hypermobile quarterback and Hurts. They added AJ Brown. Devonta Smith is in the second season. It's not.
Do we see like a 70-30 like split between the running backs back there between Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell? Somewhere like that. I
don't think Miles Sanders can get 70% of the touches. I think it might be somewhere along the lines of Sanders gets around 50%, and the rest of it's being cropped up between Gainwell, maybe Kennedy Brooks, and some of the other running backs in that backfield.
And that's not what you want to see because last year he was 52% snap share and 50% opportunity share. And what that works out to with the Eagles being the number 1 team as far as run plays go, again, because of Hurts, that shakes out to basically 138 carries, 137 carries for the season over 12 games. So if you were to extrapolate that, you're going to end up with basically what he got his rookie year, which was 178, 179. Couple that with the fact that he's 41st in goal line rate. He's got to get touchdowns too, right? If they start using him around the goal line, get him involved in the receiving game a little bit, then you don't really need the opportunity share to go up that much for him to be a viable flex player. But he's no longer in the tier of DeAndre Swift or David Montgomery in this offense, I don't think. He's efficient, but the volume concerns me and the touchdown opportunity concerns me.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, plus the other two, they have AJ Brown out. So before, they just had a rookie Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz kind of there. So it was basically like, from the line to the linebackers was kind of occupied by the field. But now you have a field stretcher now who can actually pull the safeties and the corners off, where you can almost throw Sanders to the flat even. So you can actually get even more opportunities in the passing game too.
Well, the problem is that you're throwing Gainwell to the flat because he was running single-digit routes when they had nobody to throw to.
Or is Hurts going to just take off and run because, like Lamar Jackson, he feels like he's better with the ball in his hands. It's we've seen this historically from mobile quarterbacks over the past 5-6 years, whether it be Watson, whether it be Wilson when he was more mobile, Kyler Murray. It's the offense didn't seem to want to get the running backs more involved. And if you go through his game logs, Sanders' game logs after he came back from his injury, it was when they were up a lot of points. It's when it was basically he was their first and second down. We're going to lead into him when we're up. Otherwise, he's just a guy.
I got to agree with him, though. It's the opportunity. When you look at the underlying metrics, right? let's see, it was third in true yards per carry, 10th in yards per touch, 32 evaded tackles, not the greatest there, but 5th in breakaway run rate, 10th in breakaway runs. 10th in breakaway runs, the counting stat, without having that many carries. 16th in yards created per touch. First in run blocking efficiency. So he's getting blocked for. The opportunity's there. He's been efficient. He's not a between the tackles guy. We knew that. But he's explosive. And if they could increase that opportunity share and use him, then yeah, he's a viable week-to-week flex play. I don't think it's going to get high enough for him to be, a true stud as long as Jalen Hurts is starting. You need Gardner Minshew under center for them to have to focus on the running game more for that to happen. So for me, it's, I buy what Miles Sanders is saying. I don't buy that it's going to happen, barring something happening with Jalen Hurts.
It's totally not going to happen. It's just, I think what they found out from last year when you compare it to 2020 is that Sanders is better when he's getting a certain amount. When he's not being leaned on more, I just don't expect this Eagles offense to make him a focal point. This is Hurts, the passing offense. You don't go out and trade for A.J. Brown and then want to run the football more. Like this is a clear move, the same way that Buffalo did with Josh Allen and getting Stephon Diggs. You're seeing Philadelphia mirroring that by going out and getting a true alpha that's going to help open up the offense more. Sanders is just a better Devin Singletary at this point.
And you need the touchdowns to be there because, look, he was on pace for his third straight season of 1,000 scrimmage yards. That's a usable fantasy asset. Again, he's gone are the days where you're considering him in the same tier as DeAndre Swift and Dave Montgomery and guys like that. But, I mean, to consider him in a tier with a guy like maybe a Tony Pollard that's going to get, limited split work but is very explosive, yeah, you could absolutely do that if the touchdowns were there.
Really, fantasy football calculator ADP right now, they have them at the end of the 5th round, beginning of the 6th round. So you can imagine RB3
that's a fair spot for it. Yeah, that's a fair spot.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be your RB1, and he might be a little concerning as an RB2. I mean, there is he's going to score touchdowns. He's not going to go 0 again. But the offense should be improved. There should be more scoring opportunity. But how much is that going to go to Hurts? And then if they decide to play around, with the backfield again, it's going to be much of the same of what we saw last year. And the scheme and then the coaching staff hasn't changed. So I don't know why we should expect it to change now this year, where he's going to go back to his, maybe rookie 2020 year. It's not going to be the same type of opportunity on a per game basis. Maybe if they're up ahead a bunch, they want to lean into him then, but I'm not buying into it. I'm buying that obviously he should get more opportunity. I'm a big Miles Sanders fan, but I don't think that's how the Eagles offense wants to operate, which is probably a better idea for the team as a whole.
Or did the team see it more like he was injured more throughout the season than we knew,
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
But that's been his MO for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
He can't really stay. He's not Mr. Durable. It's like Josh Jacobs to an extent where you can't lean on him too hard.
Yeah.
We were hoping he'd follow the footsteps of like a Saquon Barkley, going from one Penn State back to the next Penn State back. It wasn't going to happen, but you kind of like
that's
hoping,
unfair.
He would kind of like do that next step up. He would never be like a Saquon Barkley, but at least be a viable RB2.
Right.
Because that's such a run-heavy offense at Penn State.
I mean, he might be if he's, if that touchdown, bounces back in a big way. I just don't see it happening with Hurts under center.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. The offense either has to change or there's got to be a quarterback change.
Yeah.
For that to unlock that.
Speaking of quarterback change, you guys see there's rumors of Hurts getting this $35 to $40 million contract extension.
Yeah.
If they make the playoffs and he takes a 60% Josh Allen leap, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
and he plays in a weak conference, in a weak division. So
if you want to bridge to the next thing, right? They've got a playoff window right now. You're not going to end up with a high pick to draft somebody. So if he's serviceable, then yeah, you give him a bridge deal in 30 to 40 million range. Was that total contract value or per year?
I think it was per year.
Ooh,
yeah, it's about right. I mean, that's top 7. I mean, it sounds heavy, give it, 3-4 years when these guys are getting paid again. it'll be, it won't be
Look
too
at wide
bad.
receiver contracts.
Well, speaking of getting paid in wide
Speaking
receiver
of.
contracts, Trey McLaurin, 3-year deal, $71 million with the Washington Commanders. They've got a questionable quarterback situation of their own, and McLaurin did a pretty good disappearing act with questionable quarterbacks at times last year. There are other weeks where he was great, but it was a very up and down season for Terry McLaurin. He was somebody that you didn't, at least I didn't necessarily feel confident plugging in week to week. So that was enough for me to get out in Dynasty, like, maybe like guy's peaked, or this is what he's going to be as long as there's instability in the offense. So where are we at in Dynasty with him getting locked to Washington for 3 more years?
I mean, I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, go ahead.
No, it shows that the team's invested, which is a good sign, right? You should be locked to the team for at least 3 years, more years. Washington's quarterback situation isn't figured out. I don't expect them to be a great team this year. The problem is they're in the worst spot to be in. They're a mediocre team with good enough playmakers around a terrible quarterback or questionable quarterback. So they're going to finish 7-10, 6-11. Is that good enough to get a true quarterback upgrade? So the offense, it just depends on how bad Washington gets and they get themselves a new quarterback, or if they decide to make a splash move and try to get, one of these veteran journeymen to come over. It's not, I don't love it, but it's nice to see the voting confidence. So there is some stability in him in Dynasty. It's just, is that enough to pump him into like a top 15 range? And I'm not sure if it does.
I'm not sure if it does either. I think he's probably more in that 20-ish range.
It's a back in 2. I think he's a back in 2.
He's so boom bust. That's like, you're either going to get that 2-point floor or that 30-point like ceiling. Mm-hmm. You never know what week you're going to get out of him. That's what's scary about him. That's why they call it Scary Terry, right?
And they, and they spent the first round pick, on a wide receiver this year. Whether or not you believe in,
I do. And
Dotson, but he's still going to get his work, and he's getting a rapport with Wentz earlier than McLaurin. So, yeah.
And can we say this is McLaurin's best quarterback since Alex Smith? Really?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Did he play with Alex Smith?
I thought he played right at the end of Alex Smith.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
He did, sure. Right? Yeah, he had to have. Fitz has. Did he play with Fitz?
Yeah, it was like 1 game, 2 games.
Yeah, that's right. Best quarterback. He played with them last year. 1 game.
That was when Fitzpatrick got injured, right?
Yep.
Oh, I forgot he went to. So I was like, when the fuck did he go to Washington? That's right.
Gilbert and Heineke.
He was supposed to beat out. Yeah.
It was Gilbert and Heineke. Before that, it was Smith, Haskins, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke.
He's been productive with bad quarterback play. It's not going to change. I think what you guys said is right, though. There's going to be some floor there because he should get targeted, fairly consistently. But the offense will limit his ceiling, and with the addition of another pass catcher, will also limit it. So,
yeah, and with adding Dotson, I think that could be a little bit more towards wanting a little bit more balance as far as the passing game goes versus the run game. This is a team, they threw 600 times 2020, and last year they threw, hold on, don't have this in front of us, we didn't prep, 550. So they're about middle of the road.
It's nice that there isn't a third elite pass, or like a third at least good pass catcher in that offense. From the wide receiver spot. It'd be consolidated targets should help him. So
Logan Thomas, if he's healthy, he's going to start the year on the pup. Though it sounds like he's having problems working his way back.
He'll be fine.
So
he'll be.
It's not
2-3.
It's not elite, but it's serviceable, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right now he's going at the 409. So a back end wide receiver 2, you're getting there. Going around him right before him is Chris Godwin and Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, and going after him is Michael Pittman, Amari Cooper, DJ Moore. In all honesty, I'd rather have Pittman and DJ Moore
They're going after
would.
McLaurin.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
too.
How is Pittman going after? That's come on.
That's one
Guys.
pick after him.
Is
Yeah.
Christian Kirk still going double-digit rounds, Ryan?
Nah, he's up to 9.
Oh, finally. We're almost there. We've almost course corrected it. Almost.
I looked earlier.
I'm almost tempted to take him as like my QB1 now.
Christian Kirk?
What?
No, Kirk Cousins. I'm thinking Kirk Cousins.
You saying
I was
Kirk-
like, what? Where the fuck?
Hey guys, I just saw Kirk Cousins' name and I just reflected right on that.
He's not a QB1 in one QB leagues, but man, that dude is setting up to smash as a.
in 4 QB leagues, Christian Kirk might be an option.
He's my
Wentz
super
might be
flex.
one. Wentz might be number 1 option too in 4 QB leagues.
Ravens wide receiver Devin Duvernay hopes to earn a starting role. So I wanted to discuss Ravens pass catchers for a minute. So they trade away Hollywood Brown, who, outside of Mark Andrews, top target getter. They don't draft anybody. They're rolling with Bateman, and then I think a few other people. Tyquan Thornton might be there.
Tyquan Thornton's in New England.
New England, that's it. I saw the wrong fucking thing.
It doesn't. It's James Prochet.
Oh, it's Prochet.
Tylen Wallace.
Wallace is
it doesn't
who I was
matter.
thinking of. Duvernay is going to be a starter on that team. It doesn't. I don't know that he's going to be fantasy relevant as much as they throw the football, but him and Bateman are definitely going to be on the field with Andrews.
The pass catchers you want are Bateman and Andrews.
Yeah.
Duvernay will be used as a gadget type of guy. I think you'll see more downfield work without Brown. I think they'll use him in that role. But Baltimore, just given what they did after the Browns or the Brown move and what they did in free agency, suggests that they want to go back to that 2019 form. And it's just going to be consolidated target share going to Bateman and Andrews. I think Duvernay may have a game or two where he rips off a big play, but he needs a Bateman or Andrews injury to at least
To
sniff.
ascend. Hey, but he's one injury away.
He's one injury away. God damn it.
So is Tylen Wallace. And I'm just saying that just 'cause he's on my
If he
dynasty
makes the
team.
team.
He's on my dynasty team. I'm just hoping for that. Just hoping prayers.
You're not going to get that to be a thing. Multiple reports have Dan being right. I mean, have the NFL suspending Deshaun Watson for at least the 2022 season, if not indefinitely. Similar language to what Calvin Ridley is going to get. I think at minimum they have to. Otherwise, you're sending the wrong message of gambling's worse than sexually assaulting 25 women.
It needs to say indefinite. It's
gotta be indefinite.
It's got to sound like
worse.
he doesn't have a chance to come back. And I think the NFL may push for that. It may be a 2-year thing.
Well, Josh Gordon's was termed indefinitely pending review, wasn't it, for weed?
Yeah, initially.
yeah, it was like 3 times in a row that it did that, which doesn't make the word sound. It doesn't make the situation sound better, but it's got to say something along the lines of it. He could never come back to football.
I think the NFL's got to do something unprecedented here, and even indefinite is precedented. Because, I mean, with Josh Gordon, right, you hand out indefinite, you know that you can apply to be reinstated. They've either got to go lifetime or multi-year set in stone before he's eligible.
I would jump for joy if he saw lifetime. I highly doubt lifetime
it.
though. But I would jump for joy. I'd be so fucking happy. Like, fuck this dude. He should never get a chance to play again. Like,
the Browns screwed it up. They had Baker Mayfield, who was.
I don't feel bad for the Browns at all. Fuck them.
No.
They did this shit to themselves. Also,
I feel
reports are saying that Baker was doing a fundraising event.
Yeah, good for Baker, man.
Oh, I love it, man. Baker low key being just low key dropping it.
Wait, he was doing a fundraiser event for what?
I'm not sure what it was. I saw a tweet about it. It was some tweet saying that the Browns are looking for a more mature an adult quarterback, and in that tweet it said that Baker was doing some sort of fundraising event or something like that. It was just it was perfect. I was like, yeah, yep. Fuck 'em.
It was funny.
I want Baker to stick it to him so bad. Them hoes ain't loyal.
Oh yeah, here's the event. Seeing Baker Mayfield host a charity event the same day Deshaun Watson's having his legal hearing, only after the Browns say that they wanted an adult at QB, is the Cleveland Browns content we all know and love. Yes,
Oh, what a dumpster fire.
I love it. Sorry, Grandpa, but not really.
Oh yeah.
Sleeper positional decisions. Cordero Patterson switched to running back only. Will no longer have wide receiver eligibility.
Wow.
Deebo Samuel stays as a wide receiver only. No running back eligibility for Deebo.
That makes sense for Deebo. I'm a little shocked for Cordero.
It makes sense for Patterson, too, except for the fact that he's probably going to be used as a wide receiver this year, but he was barely used and split out last year. So, he's primarily been used as a running back the last 3 times he's been fantasy relevant. So I can I see why they did it, but no, with the Bears too, he was primarily used as a running back.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with New England too.
And with
and
with New England. So, it's been a few years now where he's primarily been a running back, but yeah,
it just feels weird. But I mean, they'll make the adjustment if they need to. So
they will.
I know a running back wearing 84. It's so hard to grasp.
And Deebo is wide receiver only. I think that one's a little more surprising to me. It makes sense, but
I think
he did have more rushes and rushing yards than receptions and receiving yards towards the end of last year.
Yeah, it was such a weird. Yeah, I don't know.
He's a gadget player.
I hope he doesn't get used in that way again because that dude already has durability issues. I don't want to see him test, fate for a second year in a row.
Right.
I don't want to see him being used in that way. At least, for more than a game or two.
Does Taysom Hill lose his quarterback eligibility?
Was he ever a quarterback though?
He's still but he's just full
tight end. All right.
He's not going to start over Adam Troutman.
I hope not.
All right, cool. Before we start a Troutman discussion, time for questions from the internet. The segment where we pretend that these questions were asked to us, even though they weren't. I just stole them off of Twitter or a 40,000 person Facebook group I can never remember the name of. First question. Would you trade Zeke Elliott, Amari Cooper, and Hollywood Brown for Austin Eckler and Tyreek Hill?
Is this redraft? Or is it Dynasty now?
I'm going to assume Dynasty because it's June 29th.
One more time.
I'm going to assume Dynasty now because it's June 29th.
Jesus Christ. Read the fucking players.
Would you trade Zeke Elliott, Amari Cooper, and Hollywood Brown for Austin Eckler and Tyreek Hill?
Oh. So all aging players.
I don't know if I would either.
I don't think so.
I think
it's almost like a wash.
Hollywood's the only one that's in a better situation than last year, ? And I think that's what tips it, because Cooper's screwed at the moment.
I might lean the other way. So you're basically up. I mean, how much of an upgrade is it to move from Zeke to Eckler? Is it
not much if
of an
Zeke's
upgrade as you
healthy
think,
and can
right?
bounce back a little bit? Everybody assumes Zeke's on the downside, but there's the possibility that we're wrong about that. He's younger than Eckler.
He finished as RB7 last year too. Like he was before he got injured, he was like what RB4, RB5.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have their full complement of receivers to start the year. And Pollard is going to be obviously used more, but I expect him to be more split out in the slot.
He'll take some major downgrade in quarterback and offensive productivity, and Hollywood gets an upgrade.
I see why. It just doesn't. There's no significant movement in any real way. Like Cooper's almost irrelevant in this move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because we all assume Watson's not going to play, and Brissett fucking sucks. So,
I think I'm on the Zeke Hollywood side.
Yeah.
PPR Superflex, Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown for Derek Carr, Michael Gallup, and 2 2023 firsts.
Ooh. The 2023 first always get me.
Superflex.
You don't know where they're at.
12. Yeah.
See, because if one of those is high, you can replace Kyler with that, especially if you're a rebuilding team.
I mean,
exactly.
Replace is a tough thing. I mean, you're gonna get a nice prospect if one of those picks is high. But Murray's considered a top 5 or 6 quarterback in Dynasty, and I think it's still tough. I think I would keep Murray.
Well, you look at those 2 first-round picks and kind of use that as kind of like a wash for Kyle Murray and a half of what was the other part of the players?
Gallup and Derek Carr. Carr's Carr's replacement level QB2, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's super flex. He's an okay QB2.
Not knowing that team, not knowing the roster, not knowing the Murray roster, I think makes it more tough because it depends what his quarterback
it was in the
situation
comments.
looks like.
I think he said it, but
Yeah.
I didn't write it down. And then you end up. So breaking this down, Carr from Kyler is almost a downgrade, but I think that and the first and a half covers it. And then the other half, Gallup in the other half of the first covers Hollywood.
Would you trade Gallup? Would you trade Gallup in a 23 first for Brown?
No.
That's the big.
No.
That's that question too.
Yeah.
I think it depends.
I don't think
but
I
do like Brown, but I do get the allure of those 23 first, and it's not because you get to use the pick, but because of what the currency.
It also depends, like,
popular.
If you're a rebuilding team and trying to stack capital, because then that's when the 23 first makes sense.
I think this should trade knowing the rosters, especially the Murray roster, it's probably the most important one.
Yeah,
because it's if your team sucks, moving Murray and getting 223 first, I think is it's fine, and you're getting a little more on top, and you get a replacement level quarterback.
Right, because if Gallup
make it something.
Because if Gallup comes back strong, then you've got either somebody young on a fresh contract or another trade chip that you can move. And Carr's just a get me over piece, really.
I think without knowing, I think without knowing the rosters, I still take the Murray side. You get the stack with Murray and Brown. You're going to get that potential high end production from Brown the first 6 weeks. I think I would keep that.
I think I'll take the picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the picks.
Without knowing the rosters, I would take Brown. I'd take the Brown and Murray side.
Hey, would you take the Brown and Murray side without knowing the rosters?
Maybe. Without knowing the rosters.
Shut up and let Ryan talk.
Yeah. So, you don't know how many, 23 first rounds he already has. He already has one. We'll assume he has one of his own. So now he has 3. Those 3 he can easily turn into the 101 plus something else. Plus if he has second rounds. Because it sounds like this person's moving around quite a bit of players and stuff. Or trying to, at least.
And there's 133 and a third % chance that those 2023 first round picks will go to something good.
Christ.
I forgot where I was now. 12-team Dynasty Superflex startup. Who is the 101? This question particularly was geared at Justin Herbert. They were considering Justin Herbert as the 101. Is that insane? And who is the 101 in 12-team Dynasty Superflex startups right now?
I still think I hope Jonathan Taylor.
In Superflex?
Yeah, it's either him or it's going to be Josh Allen.
I think in Superflex, it's always a quarterback because of longevity. I don't think that there's a running back that you could put in front of me and tell me this is the 101 in Superflex, and I'm going to be like, John Hogue, this one's for you, buddy. I don't think that there's a 101 you can put in front of me in Superflex, and I'm going to sit there and tell you, yeah, they're the 101 just because of longevity and dynasty. Even a long running back career is 5 years short of a long quarterback career. And that's not the norm. I love Jonathan Taylor. He's a superstar. He's a premium talent, but you're 5 years of that versus, Josh Allen, who just signed a mega deal. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, some of the younger talents in the league that are looking to end up at that elite tier. Patrick Mahomes just signed a big old freaking mega deal, and people seem to be out on that after one kind of, by his standards, down year. So, I don't mean to poo-poo all over the Jonathan Taylor take, but for me personally, I just don't see a scenario where there would be a running back as a Superflex 101 for me.
I've seen it happen already where, one person took it at 101, and I'm like...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I see a lot of shit happen on the internet. It doesn't mean those idiots on the internet are right.
Right.
So, I'm in a 16-team startup.
Good for you.
This is shut your
I'm on one to that, apparently.
You are you gotta defend Ryan like he's your child.
Robert's bashing you like crazy.
Well, I mean, he's your father, so.
What do you mean defend him like he's my child? I just shit all over his 101. And you shit all over
but
the
you're
Jonathan
also his
Taylor
dad,
thing.
so you gotta make sure that level stays fair.
Herbert when he was -4.
Herbert went 101 in this draft. So we've seen him already leapfrog.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, wait. You're talking in your 16-team draft.
In the 16-team Superflex startup, Herbert went 101. Jonathan Taylor would need to be 2019 McCaffrey for to have a shot at that conversation. Like, he doesn't have McCaffrey's ceiling, and he's probably the lone running back that you can make an argument for 3 years ago.
So,
and you still wouldn't do it. I think that's rough. But
here's where I get hung up, right? And I'm going to look at this to make sure I'm not about to say something stupid. 672, 5,000, 38, 15. Okay.
Just throwing out random numbers.
Math. Hashtag math.
520, 4,600, 34, 14. Okay. Why are people on Justin Herbert with a near 30-year-old running back as a supporting cast and a plus 30-year-old Keenan Allen as a supporting cast over Joe Burrow, who has two super young wide receivers, a running back that's still in his 20s, and threw for over 4,500 yards on, close to 100 less attempts than what Herbert had?
I'm with you. I think Herbert and Burrow are very close, and it's all. I mean, you can make the talent argument. I guess is that people think Herbert's more talented than Burrow, so that I guess comes in the conversation for dynasty. But Burrow's tethered to Chase and Higgins.
Right.
Two top 12 receivers. Chase being the number one in most people's eyes.
Higher touchdown rate, similar interception rate.
Both have great rosters on both sides of the ball, so you can't even make an argument. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
But Burrow didn't really take off last year until the end of the week, the end of the season. His final two games, he put up, I think it was 48 points and 55 points. So it's 100 some points right there, which was equivalent to 25% of his fantasy points at the end of the season, compared to where Herbert was more consistent throughout the year.
Herbert's got a little more rushing upside too. I mean, they're close. And
that's probably knowledgeable.
Also Burrow was coming off of an ACL tear. So there's that too. He did have two giant games at the end of the season, but he had some big games towards the beginning of the year too. 416, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, he's capable of putting up those monster games, and it's not like when the monster games weren't there that he was unproductive. Just playing devil's advocate here on the Herbert thing. And Josh Allen had this huge outlier of a season that people seem to want to jump on. So I think what it comes down to is I don't know that there's going to be a consensus. You can make a debate between Herbert, Burrow, Allen. I wouldn't even fault people if they still have Mahomes up there, even as they go through this transition thing because of the contract and the pure talent that's there. But you can make an argument for either one of those four, and I don't think you're necessarily wrong.
This means you want the 105. Because you can also talk about Lamar Jackson with his rushing upside too, with not maybe the same super longevity, but long enough for dynasty.
Sure, we could talk about Lamar Jackson. It wouldn't be in the 101 conversation for me, but we could talk about Lamar Jackson.
It's in the same tier for me. The dude's got insane upside. So
he's a tier down for me.
Okay.
I don't like that play style for long-term success. I like call me old school. I like quarterbacks that, throw the football every now and again too, because that athleticism and speed and getting popped outside of the pocket isn't going to keep. I mean, it's dangerous.
There's been a lot of studies that there's no correlation between mobile quarterbacks and injuries. So
yeah, name 3.
I'm going off a correlation of it. If you go through, the injury reports, there's not enough correlation to suggest that a mobile quarterback's going to get hurt more. Because a lot of quarterbacks also get hurt inside the pocket. So,
what's your favorite album from them?
Album?
Yeah, name 3 songs. Name 3 songs quarterbacks that don't get hurt outside of the pocket do. I mean, you can't.
But did you see the video?
I don't really know what your point is, but okay.
He threw a 50-yard pass from his knees. I mean, come on. He could throw a ball.
Sure, yeah. As long as you don't care where it goes. No, my point is, Dan, is that the data on that is Michael Vick. And then question mark.
So one player?
Yeah, well, Not for injury. I mean, there's only one player that you could compare to Lamar Jackson with the arm talent and the mobility and the athleticism and everything. So you don't have a thick thing to compare on, and then we've seen how that can go badly the last couple of years.
Lamar's going to get arrested because of a dogfighting ring then?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. You could have told if you had asked me 3 years ago if Deshaun Watson was going to get popped for 24
That's a very fair point.
hand jobs from masseuses, I wouldn't have guessed it.
Yeah.
So.
I'm saying this. I also wouldn't take Lamar 101. I just have him in the same tier as everybody else because of his upside.
We're arguing about this, and I'm like,
I know. This is what we do,
I'm
though.
like 105 to 108 for Lamar. Sure, totally on board there.
I'm just back here watching it. Watching you two go at it.
I wouldn't call it going at it.
There's a shitload of vanilla in this beer.
It's cute.
All right. Moving on. Speaking of mobile quarterbacks, are we in or out on Jalen Hurts as a quarterback one in 2022?
That's super in.
I'm in.
Top three.
Yeah, me too. I'm in.
Top three upside.
Top
I haven't
7
ranked
floor.
at 4.
He's got QB1, the QB1 upside. We just spoke about why with Lamar Jackson, it's the same thing with Jalen Hurts. The same thing with Josh Allen every year.
Except Jalen Hurts in college actually had some really good seasons throwing the football too. And they gave him wide receivers.
And he got better.
And he
was better down the stretch last year. Like, you know me and my love of Jalen Hurts. Like, I take him almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So, huge fan.
We grew to love Jalen Hurts. He's acquired taste.
I remember the fuck Jalen Hurts rants way back in the day.
We were really mad watching our Darius Stewart tape.
And then we found out it was just because of our Darius Stewart, not so much
our Darius Stewart. What's the coolest or most fun rule you have in one of your leagues or that you have heard of in other leagues? So, what's a fun rule?
Or most fun?
Yeah, coolest or most fun rule. What's a rule that you've had or seen in leagues that you like, just in case somebody's out there looking to shake something up?
I really like the kicker points per yardage.
You stole
instead
mine.
of just like I'm sorry, but there's
right,
like
I'll
that's
take a
been my
different one.
favorite rule change. You
But
can
what is
piggyback on it.
Is that the way, if it's a 21-yard kick, they get 2.1 points?
Plus 3 for
Instead
the
of 3.
kick. Well, no, plus 3 for the kick. Yardage matters.
So you get 5.1 points for that?
Yeah.
In some leagues, I think my best ball when I don't do it.
I don't
So
do
you
it.
don't-
I don't do it in the dynasty league. I just set up either. It's I think 1 point per made kick, and then it's fractional.
So Justin Tucker would be like a third-round pick then, right?
No,
If he's taking 67
He's worth the
kick.
fourth round pick in a trade, though. God damn it! You don't steal my boo from me.
All right, I'll go a different way. I really like the modified quarterback scoring where you take completion percentage into account and severely penalize turnovers.
And sacks. I like that.
sacks.
You're losing points per sack too. I like that.
Yeah.
Pick 6. Have you guys seen that one? Like you actually lose 6 points if you throw a pick 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's 4 for interception and 2. That was a Scott Fishbowl rule
Yeah.
last year. 6. It was 4 for interception and plus 2 for pick 6, which could completely cancel out a touchdown.
As it should.
And people went
Right.
negative for it.
Which is, I think it's the same this year. So be careful, Ryan.
I'm learning. I'm learning on the fly.
There's going to be that Sam Darnold week, that Baker Mayfield week from last year.
It'll
I
happen.
saw all the negative points they
It'll
had.
be like negative 13.
All right, last one. This is asking for a friend. Price checks on 2 players. So Robert Woods in Dynasty. Where are you at on Robert Woods in Dynasty? What are you basing a package around if you're trading him away? What do you
Third
want?
round pick.
Yeah, as I was going to say, like be like a very low second or a high third-round pick.
If I'm a contending team, I wouldn't mind giving up a second too.
I asked for this is actually your best ball dynasty league. I asked for a second plus a little sweetener on top. It's IDP.
Yeah.
Who was the
I give like a
sweetener?
second and a fourth.
I didn't specify. I just said give
Okay.
me a
Oh,
second and
I
somebody
getcha.
from like this tier of players for Woods. And then where are you at on Hopkins?
Holding. Like, you got to wait until he comes back. And then if you want to move him, I move him after
So
a nice week.
I asked it where I think he's going to come back at. So I asked for a first plus either an additional top 3 or an additional second in 2023, or a guy like a Christian Watson if you're not high on him, or throw me in somebody with some upside that's not proven, basically, in that deal.
You basically want like a 2022 first, 23 first and second. So basically want 2 first.
Something along those lines, yeah.
I don't think you're going to be able to get 2 firsts.
I don't think I will.
Age.
I don't think I will right now. But if he comes back
and
and starts lighting it up, So I asked for a little higher, and art of negotiation too, right? If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. If that gets balked at, you can always come down. But if you start out too low, you're not going to go up anywhere. So you make it close enough to where they're not like, screw this, screw you. It's the art of negotiating a trade. But you don't always start at what's the lowest you're willing to go either.
No, I guess it depends on if you're trying to acquire him. Obviously, you don't want to pay that much. I mean, starting with the second and seeing, or going that route of, I'll give you a 23 second and a Christian Watson level of player. I just wouldn't move him now.
No, but it's smart. It's smart to ask though for that reason. You've got Woods coming off the injury, Hopkins coming into a suspension. I mean, you're looking to get them for a discount, and those are the right players to be asking about. So, like Jacob, if you're listening, one, you just get a little bit more insight into what I'm doing here. But two, I mean, props to you, because those are absolutely the right players to be asking about. And if you're me, I'm hedging the bet that they're going to come back and be better than what their price is right now. So I'm asking for what I think I could get for them mid-season in a best-case scenario type of situation.
Yeah.
And who's to say that happens and he actually really suspended for the 6 games? We haven't heard anything about his appeal yet. It could be 2, could be 4 games even. So even then, you could actually even get a better deal if you're going for Hopkins right now too.
Get this legal team involved. Maybe they'll just not do anything.
I think it'd be
first time offense, second team.
Yeah. I could see it.
It's definitely a fair question, and it's definitely the right moves to make. Going off of players that are on, that are supposed to be on the pub, so you can get them at a discount.
His team could contend, so kind of playing for the second half there with those guys, and
especially if your team's out of contention and Hopkins isn't going to help you anyways.
Yeah, my team's not going to contend. I'm completely willing to move those players. So.
Yeah, so that's a perfect mover on your end to try to move out of there to try to build younger.
Yeah. All right, let's do a beer review, then we'll do some either or, which is perfect because I got one drink of this thing left.
Beer review.
All right, I'll go first. I had a Wild Berry Dream Ale from Hand of Fate Brewing Company out of Petersburg, Illinois. So it's another line basically in their cream ale series where they just throw a bunch of fruit into their base cream ale, and they have a good base cream ale. It's really receptive to that type of thing. I say fruit. Double Bean Dream has no fruit in it, but either way, you get it. They do a dreamsicle version. I think they've done a raspberry version. They do a lot of versions of this. On the nose, there's a ton of vanilla, and that tends to be how they sweeten this, is with, when they add anything to it, it's vanilla plus. It's vanilla plus. It's vanilla plus. And there is a ton of vanilla in this for sure that I get off the nose. Clarity-wise, it's a cream ale that did a real good job of keeping it clear with fruit. There's no haze to it at all. It's a very clear beer. As far as a wild berry, so it's actually blueberry, raspberry, boysenberry, and strawberry. I do get the raspberry and the blueberry, probably more than anything. Strawberry is a little more mild. Boysenberry, I'm not really sure what a boysenberry is. So,
it's a berry.
Thanks.
Yes.
Can I mute you? I can actually mute you. I can indeed.
Oh, wow, look at you.
He muted himself.
I got you.
Good man. Good man. Overall, it's a solid beer. Most of the expressions they do of this are. I wish I'd get some things other than cream ales down here, but I guess that's Dan's fault. Either or, they keep doing good work with this particular beer, and the fruit notes are there. They're not overwhelming. It's good beer if you're not really looking to drink beer but want something fruity that isn't a seltzer.
Ryan, you can go.
All right, I had a special hazy IPA. It's from Bell's, out of Kalamazoo still. Yeah, comes in at 6.4%. It's a good combination of dry hops and stuff. It's got Mosaic, Citra, Asaca, Amarillo, and another hop. I forget what kind of hop it is, but it's got more of like a citrus taste to it than anything. With kind of like a little bit of a piney finish, but I can't really complain about it. Kind of medium body, a little bit refreshing.
It's a classic hazy.
Yeah, it's not. I can't do a hopper description on it.
I mean, when you talk about hazies, they're all relatively the same. You know, stone fruit and citrus are the most commonly, tasted, fruits and style and dry hop beers. So
yeah, I mean that's all it tastes. Is
it's tough.
It's no matter what.
Yeah, you're basically getting down to the nitty gritty was trying to differentiate them, and that's really based on if they're using malt or oak plates or some shit like that. So. All right. Again, Blind Pigs Reserve Lager. Noah's it's slightly toasted with a bit of that vanilla S to it. Very light, obviously light in body. Flavor wise, you get you get that light toasted background with some subtle hop at the end. Extremely subtle hop at the end, and it just finishes away clean. So a very good traditional lager. I guess more so American lager.
All right, good stuff. All right, we're going to do some either or.
Hopper totally forgot that he's muted.
I know, this is great. We should have kept letting him talk.
I
mean, he's kind of leading the show, and I really don't want to lead, so.
If I had $1 for every time I did that. It's just normally $1, not this. Oh, wait, did you mute me through Zoom or did I mute me for Zoom? Because normally I just hit the switch on the mic.
I can't mute you. You have hosting ability.
That's true.
You did. You muted yourself and forgot.
That's weird.
That's just how good the beer was. It changed your life.
It did just change beers.
Okay, Ryan, with the laughing emoji.
Yeah, I just saw that. I saw reactions down here. I was like, what's this do?
Huh. I didn't know that was a thing. Good job, Zoom. All right. Some either ors going on. One of the hottest debates I see right now with the retirement of Rob Gronkowski. Cade Otton or Cameron Brate? Dan, we'll start with you.
Pulling up Cade Otton's athletic profile, which sure isn't just his high school workout numbers. I think the answer is neither. In Dynasty, against Cade because of age. But, I mean, do we really want to have a Tampa Bay Buccaneer tight end if it's not Gronk?
Yes.
I know your answer, Hopper. We all know your answer. I don't want a tight end.
When he was the tight end 1, he was tight end 11 and tight end 12, those 2 tight end seasons. So could he take the next step and be a top 10 tight end? That's a hard to take. And then Cade Otton, I've been hearing, has been like working with the first team also. So I don't know how true, is that more coach speak or is that more just to kind of see how he can relate with Tom Brady?
I don't. Yeah, if it happens, good. But
I'll just say this.
I don't care.
It could happen, but there wasn't a tight end in this class that really jumped out to anybody. And we see these top-tier tight ends, they struggle when they first come into the NFL. So for me, it's, especially this year, give me the guy that's done it before, that's been a tight end 1 before, that's been serviceable when he gets the chances. And, look, it's not going to be sexy, but it should be a tight end 1 most weeks. Let me ride with him versus the rookie when I know by this point in time how difficult it is for rookie tight ends to adapt, produce, and stay on the field. So that's really what it comes down to me is give me the veteran because of the position, especially in redraft.
And from 16, 17, 18, he had 8 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, and 6 touchdowns. So the touchdown upside's there with him.
Yeah.
I think the answer is you take him double-digit rounds. If he doesn't pop off, you drop him. Anybody out, like he's just a part of that massive clump of tight ends. It's just,
and I will be.
Oh, I definitely know you will be. I
Yeah.
would be shocked and a little sad if you did it.
The Brait one will never die.
It's a lead or late. That's how I look at it as this year. Either you go with the best tight ends or you just wait.
What's Brait will never die.
Tony Pollard or Kareem Hunt?
Ooh.
You guys all have similar ADPs. Ryan, we'll start with you.
I would almost go Kareem Hunt because I feel like the hype on Tony Pollard's getting to be too high, where the hate on Zeke's getting too far, and the Tony Pollard side's moving up, where the Kareem Hunt's not really moving up because you don't hear anything about Kareem Hunt. And you think of Dearness Johnson, and everyone thinking of Dearness Johnson being signed. That I think it's helping to not overextend Kareem Hunt's value up too high, where I think he's actually getting him at a good rate right now, or a good value. Where's he going at right now?
You said they're similar ADP, so I'm assuming 8, 9
around each
maybe.
other. Yeah, I think that Hunt was 8 and Pollard was 7. I think.
I do like the idea of a bad Cleveland offense playing from behind that tends to work well into Hunt's favor. But
I tend to think that it's Hunt for me, and it's because they're playing from behind, but it's also because if they're without Watson, as we expect them to be, their best bet is going to be to lean heavily on their 1-2 punch at running back and slow the game down. And that's going to be their best chance to compete, is to slow the game down that way, lean on that 1-2 punch at running back and let them kind of eat, not dissimilar to what the Saints did late in Drew Brees' career. And they have the backs to use that model and to do that, and that means volume for Kareem Hunt coupled with the efficiency that he's always had. So for me, I'm leading Kareem Hunt. Also, he's just cheaper right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for, the cheaper one.
I mean, that's the really only lure. It's if you're taking 2 backups that are going to be primarily used in the passing game, at least go with the one on a likely worse game script. I guess better game script for running backs, but for pass catchers. So I'd go Hunt too. The fact that Tony Pollard is going in the 7th is just too high, though. It's just, I love the talent and I love the opportunity potential, but we know he's not going to out-touch Zeke. We know it's not going to come any close to Zeke's workload. Hunt and Chubb, though, a lot closer at times than I think people want to admit. And I really don't want any part of the Cleveland offense, especially if they lean heavy on the running game, because that's just going to be more men in the box. And yeah.
Jarvis Landry or Christian Kirk?
Yeah, Kirk also.
Outside.
I see just Kirk being more the true wide receiver one, where
Should be.
Yeah.
With his fucking
Landry,
contract.
I mean, Landry, yeah, he's having a great, camp and everything, but you got Chris Olave there, and what is the true status of Michael Thomas?
Right, because Michael Thomas comes back, then you've got redundant type players, and that doesn't necessarily work out too well. You're not,
right.
I mean, they're both slot guys, and Jarvis Landry hasn't been able to work really since he left Miami, other than in flashes. Christian Kirk's going to be on a bad offense, going to have to throw a lot. We know what Jacksonville can do with garbage time.
What's Landry's contract? I'm looking up Landry's contract to see. I wonder if he could be a cut candidate too. I mean, it's just a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I mean, was it Michael Thomas insurance? Because we know that.
No, I think that's exactly what it is Michael Thomas insurance.
So he may be let go if Thomas comes back early, or if he's healthier than what we're being led to believe.
Or other way around. If Michael Thomas doesn't come back,
then yeah, he'll be used. I would have the better player and the better offense at this point. I would take the chance on Jacksonville's offense being more productive than the Saints. And, Christian Kirk coming off of his historic deal being used more as a primary one than Jarvis Landry.
No, I would agree with you.
So
I'm on Kirk.
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster or Rashad Bateman?
Bateman.
Yeah, I feel Bateman also.
So I'm looking Juju. And it's purely this is purely a volume thing. Andrews is the one in Baltimore on a low volume passing offense. Dan, you said it earlier in the show. They want to get back to running the football more. As much as I like the talent and I like the player that is Rashad Bateman, that does not bode well for volume. Whereas you just had, in losing Tyreek Hill, a ton of targets open up in Kansas City. Yes, you have Sky Moore and Valdez-Scantling there, but Schuster plays a completely different type of role, and I do think you might see the ball get spread around a little bit more, but it's going to be a higher volume passing offense. With again just a guy that's been successful at the NFL level, and I fully believe that Bateman can be. I just have problems seeing, from a volume perspective, from an offensive scheme, where his path to, outperforming ADP is, better than what Juju's is.
I definitely see the argument for Juju, and I like both. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're both going in similar ADP.
They are. I think it's in the 8th round for both of them.
You
Yeah,
actually get them both at the turn, so you could actually have them both on your team.
I still like Bateman's upside more used as a primary number one, where I expect Juju to continue to operate out of the slot. But I mean, it's right. So they both should see similar target share. I expect Bateman's to jump in that 20% range. Juju hasn't been in that part since his breakout year with Pittsburgh, but the offense should lean into, even if Juju has a less target share, the production should be, similar in that way.
Because of volume. If they're both at 20% target share on the Chiefs offense is worth more targets than 20% target share on the Ravens.
I also think Bateman's going to be more of the primary red zone threat. I don't think Juju's going to be. I mean, they got similar size, but I do expect Bateman to be more primarily used as that red zone threat.
Still expect it to primarily be Kelsey for the Chiefs. But I mean, Juju, 7 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. That's it's 3 full seasons or near full seasons. So that's nothing to sneeze at.
Nope, it's not.
Plus, Kansas City has the most vacated targets too. I think, right? It's almost over 200.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming on that one, Hopper. Going with Juju, because if Kelsey's out there as the first outlet, Schuster should be right there for him, ready to go.
I'm very interested to see how those targets break down. With the type of contract again, the MVS. I don't give a fuck about Mecole Hardman.
I think MVS is going to be the deep guy. I think he's most likely to be a Hill replacement, but I think they might pick and choose their shots a little bit more.
And then I guess is where we think Sky Moore will end up. The upside in the offense is clearly huge. And we're going to see how that target breaks down, because if Sky Moore is actually good at football, then the targets they're all going to eat more. Especially the wide receivers are going to eat more into each other.
And really what it could lead to is a little bit of target regression for Kelsey. Because, I mean, part of the reason the Chiefs have struggled, and we've called it out on this show, is that where were they going? They were status quo every week. There was never a scenario where you wanted to start Mecole Hardman. Never a scenario when Watkins was there where it was start Watkins. It's Kelsey, it's Hill, it's Mahomes, and then whatever back was healthy, maybe.
Yeah.
Whenever teams could lock down Kelsey or Hill, which is very hard to do, but when they could, that offense struggled. So you had playmakers now. You give Mahomes the ability to spread the ball around instead of everything's going to Hill or everything's going to Kelsey. And I don't wonder if you see some of that target volume for those wide receivers come away from Kelsey a little bit. Mark Andrews is the tight end 1, right?
I still got Kelsey in my tight end 1.
It'd be Kelsey for me. I just like even if target regression is definitely there. I mean, the splits between what Andrews did with and without Lamar is it's small sample size, obviously, but it's still pretty staggering. It depends how much Baltimore regresses back to running the football. I don't think they're going to go back completely. They will definitely run the ball more if based on what they want. But their division got better, the conference is better, so it just depends how. And their defense still isn't, built back up to their to their standards. So it really depends if you move both of them out of their game plan, and who's more likely to be the primary target in their offense. If both teams are playing from behind. I can see Bateman not easily, but I can definitely see Bateman surpassing Andrews in that standpoint, where I still think Kelsey is the primary target in Kansas City. And there's and that's not a shot at Andrews. It's just
no, and here's the big difference to me, right? 675 pass attempts for the Chiefs. And Baltimore's in the threes, I think, if I remember right.
Oh, threes? As a team?
Or fours. Hold on. It's not high.
Hold on.
They
were 6'11" as a team this year. This past year, they were 6'11".
That was with Huntley. And you said they wanted to revert to 2020 more so, where they threw 400 times.
So they're going to fall somewhere probably between that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
450, 500 is probably what I'm assuming, because you did have Jackson miss some games last year that I think probably elevated. I think Huntley might be a better passer, actually. But
Huntley was definitely had more hungry eyes for Andrews. I mean, just look at Andrews' game logs in comparison. This is blow-up weeks game with Huntley, which I do think is somewhat baked into
in 2019
the conversation about Andrews.
In 2019 was 440. So I mean, it's likely that Baltimore's right around 500 pass attempts. You got 200 more or 175, 200 more pass attempts for the Chiefs, which that's 175, 200 more targets to be spread amongst those receivers. And I think that's the biggest difference to me. I don't disagree with any of the points that you're making about Bateman, that he could be the top target on that team, that he could supplant Andrews as the top target on that team some weeks. I just don't think the top target on that team is worth more than, the 2A, 2B target on the Chiefs necessarily, just because of the offensive schemes.
It's definitely a good conversation to have, because then you're looking at, what does the schemes and what does the potential passing attempts are going to, showcase. We know that Juju can do it in an offense that will supply in that, especially with an elite quarterback play. There's a reason why I'm taking both players. Juju does have
and I just want people
upside.
To stay off of Juju, because a lot of people like Bateman upside.
Yeah, Bateman, I'm nervous. I'm surprised. I hope his ADP doesn't get, I think round 7's the highest I'd go.
I'm with you. And look, he's a wide receiver 1 on any team, and that's totally fine. And you definitely want to hunt that in the later rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of wide receiver 1s, Cortland Sutton or Hollywood Brown?
Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton.
But
that's a really good question, though.
It's
I'm Sutton.
A common one, and Brown is going higher. But for me, I'm Sutton with the addition of Russell Wilson there, who has historically made players like Cortland Sutton very, very good. Also players like Jerry Jeudy. Look at Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett. Very, very good.
Tim Patrick.
Yeah. I mean, it's Sutton for me. I like Hollywood for the first 6 weeks. When Hop comes back, who knows? I think it's a better spot for Hollywood. And again, they're close enough to where you could end up with both. But if Sutton stays at that value, I'm all on board with Sutton paired with Russell Wilson, because that's his DK Metcalf in Denver, and Jerry Jeudy's his Tyler Lockett / Doug Baldwin.
What rounds are they going in?
I should probably pull that up, huh?
708. They're in 708 range right now.
They're both in the 7th round, right?
Yeah.
I would expect Brown to probably move up as we get closer. The hype's going to build, especially if Hopkins' suspension doesn't get overturned. But you're arguing what should be potential or what should be similar passing offenses in number 2 versus a number 1. And is Brown going to get the same type of target share that he got in Baltimore with the healthy Hopkins, or is he going to revert back to high teens, low 20s?
Yeah. 703, 708, by the way. Both are ahead of Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
But does Marquise Brown become that Christian Kirk when Hopkins comes back? Is almost what you had to ask him questions when you're drafting too.
I mean, there's obviously boom. Both players have big boom potential. We've seen Kirk go off for over 103 touchdowns in the game too.
Hollywood could end up in the 6th. Look, maybe even back in 5. Just looking at some of the players that are ahead of him right now as we get closer to redraft season.
Once we know Hopkins, like we know it's 6 games, but once we know after his appeal goes through what his suspension is, I think if he gets 6, Brown's probably moving up to 5th, 6th round for sure.
Adam Thielen or Amari Cooper?
Oh, Thielen.
Thielen.
Easy. Not even close.
Like Cooper, there's too many questions.
Cooper's going 504. Thielen's going 508 right now.
Yeah. Once the Watson suspension comes down, I think Cooper's going to move down to the 8-9 range.
I'm completely with you on Thielen, by the way. Let's get to something more fun. Michael Pittman or Jaylen Waddle?
Pittman.
Number
1 with the better quarterback upgrade. Love Pittman. Metrics were elite last year. One of the best receivers versus both man and zone with the better quarterback. Now, at least more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Needs more volume out of that. Jaylen Waddle, I think that part of the reason I put this here is that there needs to be some cold water poured on Jaylen Waddle. He was used super close to the line of scrimmage, and the hope is that he'd stretch the field more, and then they add in Tyreek Hill with a quarterback that's not a fantastic deep ball quarterback. So, I mean, he's accurate, but not a great deep ball quarterback, and bringing in Tyreek Hill doesn't do a lot for Waddle's target volume. And I think that people are looking at last year and getting really excited about Jaylen Waddle. And I like Jaylen Waddle. We know that he has elite athleticism as well, but bringing in Tyreek Hill should be a shot of cold water. That's not an improvement. That's bad news if you're expecting Jaylen Waddle to improve on what he did last year.
Yeah, Tanner had a repeat after 140 targets. Mm-hmm. And he got it from last year. Like, if they're expecting 140 targets again, I don't see him getting over 100 receptions also and over 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
it was going to be tough between him and Hill.
No A-dot, though.
Yeah.
6.3. And he's not getting 20. Like, I don't see him getting 24.3 target or a 24.8 target share either.
No, that's going to come back down closer to 20. What you hope for with Waddle is that A-dot goes up about 4 or 5 yards.
I think going up, I think he'll be in that 8 range, which I think is a fair to see it jump twice. Because I think him and Hill are going to be, built from the same mold in this offense. It's just Hill is going to take enough away from Waddle. There are going to be some nice games from Waddle, for sure. But
yeah, Pittman should be solid. He's one of the safest floors, I think, and one of the highest floors that you can get around that range.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like him a lot this year.
T. Higgins or Deontay Johnson?
Ooh, that's tough. Now you're going floor versus upside.
Yeah.
You're going floor versus upside. You're going a number 2 in an elite offense versus a number 1 in a questionable offense.
So the Juju versus Bateman conversation again. Except Deontay's
it's a little different because the Steelers is an unknown. Baltimore's a known commodity.
It is absolutely slightly different. But it is kind of funny to bring up.
It is. This is another one that's, I think, interesting because you expect both guys to be solid contributors, but in that range, for me, it's Higgins. Give me the better offense.
Shocked?
Are you,
Mr. Floor? Going? I'm also going Higgins. You're so Mr. Floor.
Yeah, but I've never been a Deontay Johnson guy.
That's true.
So,
That's fair.
I've never been a fan of Deontay. So for me, I'm a floor guy, but give me Higgins. I think the Steelers are going to lean on Najee pretty hard, and that offense, especially in the passing game, became with Ben's noodle arm became such a shell of what it had been in the past. I'm interested to see how that unfolds. To me, I honestly think Higgins might be a little bit safer just because you're in the elite offense, and I fully expect that Cincinnati is going to be able to support 2 top 15 wide receivers.
They should.
Yeah, they should be able to.
They
still
should.
pick up where they left off last season.
And they get to play against the number 1 seed schedule. So you get to play against the Chiefs, get to play against the Bills.
So there's a lot of shootouts. You're not blowing people out in those games.
And the offense is just built to be more up tempo and more pass heavy, especially when I think he has more upside. I think I still lean Deontay as more floor. I don't think Deontay's target, like the way that he commands targets, is just going to drop off. I think he fits very well with a guy like Trubisky or when Pickens, or Pickens steps in.
And that's fair. And Allen Robinson was very productive with Trubisky.
Yeah.
So.
And Deontay can definitely get more open compared to, but there is, Pickens and I guess Claypool to an extent too, and Freiermuth. So there's a big reason why I'll lean more Higgins, because there's a lot of target competition in Pittsburgh with a new quarterback.
Yeah, and probably fewer targets. So it's because it's gonna go through Najee first.
Offense is gonna be bad.
Najee Harris, RB3. Right, I'm leading this show. Antonio Gibson or Cam Akers?
Cam Akers. The whole Gibson thing kind of makes me too nervous because of how they're trying to make that offense now, where it's like almost like a three-headed running back between Akers, Williams, and Henderson right now. But no, wrong team.
What? Yeah,
you just combine thing. You're going. You had the right argument. You went to the wrong side of it. You're thinking Brian Robinson for short yardage, Gibson between the 20s, and J.D. McKissick as a pass catcher.
Yeah,
I think is where you meant to go with that.
Yep,
that's funny.
Well,
that is hilarious, though.
It's like
you had the right point. You just went with the straight wrong roster.
That was great.
Really, the Brian Robinson is like the in between, like the player between J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson, where it's like Gibson needs a break that Robinson come in, or if McKissick can't go out there for third down, Robinson will come in. It's more of a headache, I feel like it's going to happen than anything else, compared to where you go to L.A. and you have Henderson and Williams there on the actual team now, where I feel like that's more of Akers. They want Akers to be that RB1, and they want Henderson to be more the third down back if needed, with Williams being mixed in.
You really think Kyron Williams is going to really mix in that offense?
No.
As a third down back?
Absolutely not.
About as much as I think this one injury away thing is going to work out for Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way Kyron Williams is going to be featured.
Not sure if you follow Player Profiler and the Podfather on Instagram, but there was totally an Isaiah Spiller one injury away.
Spiller's a better talent than Kyron Williams, and he is and
they're both equally. They were both equally disappointing.
No, Henderson's disappointing, but I feel like Williams as like the Henderson replacement when needed, when it's going to happen.
Maybe, but I think they like Henderson's role. I think if Henderson gets hurt, I think it's going to be the Cam Akers show. Fuck, it was the Cam Akers show when he came back from his Achilles.
It's going to be the Cam Akers show anyway. Henderson's not a block for Cam Akers, and to me, it's how effective is Cam Akers going to be, right? That's what it comes down to. But I think that as far as job security goes, Akers has it. And, you've got Washington wanting to do this 1-2 punch thing, protect Gibson a little bit, bring in Brian Robinson. But there's also a hot hand element to that. That's also you're not getting all the carries, even if they do want to run the football a bit more. And I think that, Akers is going to have the opportunity to be something close to a bell cow.
You know who Gibson is? Miles Sanders last year, where he'll probably be more efficient with his touches, but it won't matter because he's just not going to get the consistent work. I mean, I can't remember his name now. The coach, he wants to rebuild the Jonathan Stewart. Rivera. He wants to rebuild what he put in Carolina with Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. And then now you have to mix in with the running back who's going to get the most value touches, in the pass catching game. I think Gibson will have some flashes, but man, it's hard. His stomach. I like Gibson too. Great talent. And I'm really pissed that, Rivera wants to go this route. But I mean, Washington's literally telling us what they're going to do, and we have to just accept it.
Yeah. And You
It
could want
sucks.
to rebuild that, but the problem is you only had 2,000 yards scrimmage seasons out of Jonathan Stewart while you were doing that split-headed monster thing because neither of them
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Too.
could really jump up, and you only had. I mean, it was the same thing for Williams, right? They cut into each other so much that you just weren't getting 1,000-yard scrimmage seasons unless there was an injury.
And Washington's offense isn't going to be good this year, at least not consistently good. So, I mean, good luck. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
You can rebuild it, but yeah, it's Akers for me, and it's probably the only time I've answered Cam Akers in an either-or question.
They're going to rebuild it, but no one's going to come.
All right, 3 more. Dave Montgomery or Leonard Fournette?
For that.
Yeah, Fat Lenny.
Montgomery.
Ooh,
It's not a homer take. It's a
spicy.
that offense is going to be iffy, and I think Montgomery is one of the best pieces that they have. And he's improved as a receiver the last several years. They don't have a pass catcher there that's going to spell him. That is going to be a bell cow, and with Fournette, you have some concerns about what they added there.
Not with the contract that they gave Fournette. I don't have any concerns. But a question I had with going with Montgomery is do they try to run him into the ground this year?
They might. He's a free agent.
Yeah,
That's what you don't want because that's a bad offense. They need to give him a hopper benching. He needs catches because he ain't going to get shit on the ground. It's a bad O-line and a bad scoring offense. You want him to catch passes. I still take Fournette because they're going to be used similarly, and I want the running back in a better offense.
Fournette's injury history also gives me a little bit more pause.
That's fair. I mean, he's never played a full season in his career, but
Yeah.
the rapport with him and Brady, we know that Fournette.
Look, I like them both. I'll take whoever's cheaper. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is why you draft Rashad White and you draft Khalil Herbert.
I have
It's
a lot
simple.
of Leonard Fournette. Yeah, Khalil Herbert, by the way, getting the backup role in Chicago, much overlooked because of how good he is in pinch hit.
Get him in.
Yeah, I mean,
Get
he's
him in Dynasty.
Chicago's version of Alex Madison. And yes, get him in Dynasty.
I don't think Montgomery's back next year. And Herbert he showed a lot last year, man. Get Khalil Herbert. That's what this means.
Yep. Melvin Gordon or Michael Carter?
Oh, Jesus.
I like throwing out some tough ones that don't feel good.
That is a tough one.
Spicy. I want to say Gordon, but man, I just don't think they're going to give him the equal workload that they got last year. I just don't think they will. I think it's going to be more Javonte this year.
Carter, because I think given equal workload, that Carter's the more efficient of the two. Gordon got goal line work, more or less, which kept him relevant, but he wasn't
I say neither.
hyper efficient. So, well, no, because it's an either or
I
question.
don't really want either of them.
I don't know that I want either of them, but given the choice at this, I mean, they're together in the draft, right? They're real close.
That's fair. I take Gordon just because I think Gordon's got he's got the size to be more used as a bell cow. But I still like Carter.
Actually, given this point in the draft, I'd take Cortland Sutton or Gabe Davis, but that's besides the point.
Oh man, Gabe Davis hype's gotten too far, man. Someone took him in the third round of a best ball draft.
Well, he's in the
I would take Gordon. I
ADP's
think I
in
would
the
take
8th
Gordon
round
too.
right now.
Yeah,
Just because I feel like it's the Jets, and I feel like we're overlooking Brees Hall and what they spent on him to get him being up there that high in the second round. I feel like Michael Carter, it's not really going to be that 1-2 punch that we're hoping for. It might be more of like a 70-30 split where it's Brees Hall and Michael Carter. Where I feel like the Melvin Gordon and Jamal Williams could be 60-40. Javonte.
Jamal Williams is a completely different conversation.
God dang. I'm getting all my players all screwed up tonight.
can't. You have to become me. You talk over droughts.
All right,
you
I
get
just
players'
confused
names
Jamal
mixed
Williams
up.
with Jamal Charles, so they are not the same person either. We gotta get Tua Tagovailoa or Derek Carr, super flex.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, yeah.
Give me Tua.
I like both. I just
Actually,
trust
no.
Carr.
Give
I
me
think I trust
Derek
Carr
Carr.
more.
Never mind. Give me Derek
Yeah.
Carr. I forgot about the Mike McDaniel thing. Carr's a much more solid QB2, a lot more floor there, and you gave him Devontae Adams.
In a lot better division, which means a lot more throwing.
Yep.
Feel a lot more comfortable.
All right, that is our show. If you have a real question to ask us, reach out to at Beerfield Thury, Dan Thury. I am at Beerfield Hop. He is at Ryan Miner _FFB.
I don't know if you want me to say it or not.
You can also find his music on Spotify at Chevelle.
He's the third brother.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Probably a lot of the same format. We'll figure out what we're talking about when we get there. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.